question. And the first one, she wanted to know, how did you get over feeling like you needed to be something or do something independent in your life?
Mm, I love that question. Um, the interesting thing for me is I never felt like I had to. Now, I want to give a little backstory to that because, innately we have desires. And I do believe that our we can be misled by what our true desires are inside, by our upbringing, the childhood, early life experiences, the people that we look up to, the world, the uh, just like the social norms,
Mhm.
depending on where you're from and who are those people, who are the adults in your life, and what do their lives look like. And so, without even recognizing it, we can like grow up making these belief systems on who and what we need to be. And we all do that to some regard. But I do see a trend in today's world where women are feeling like they need to be something. And I get it. There is, I believe like there is a desire to have a purpose and to have something meaningful. Um, but it doesn't have to come through a job, and that's an easy route though. You go through school and then it's like go to college and figure out your life and make something of it and be something and prove yourself. But all of that can be coming from an external validation. And so, you know, back to my experience, yes, I had the demonstration of some like responsibility and work and whatever, but it wasn't about a career. It was about having an income to make money to support your family. It was much less about proving yourself or really, I don't really remember a lot of talk at all. I grew up in more blue collar families. And again, it was a way to provide. And so I don't feel like I was influenced by that boss babe energy that can be a real thing. Um, and so the important thing here for all of us is truly being able to tune into who am I and where are my desires coming from? Are they coming from me or are they coming from a belief system or something that was demonstrated to me? Or, gosh, maybe I don't even know.
Or who did I have to be, or who was I trying to impress
Right.
by pursuing what I thought I was supposed to want?
Right. And an important question is, I'm going to say parents, but it's really caregivers, intertwined here is like, who did you have to be for them? Who were they encouraging you to be? And is that what you want for your life? And it might change, right? Like you might want a job right now and then decide that later on you don't because that doesn't feel good anymore. So the important thing is honoring where you are right now as and be as authentic as you can be and know that this journey into authenticity is a journey and it's meant to be because we can't really know what we've stuffed all inside of us until we start to question it for real, which is going to take time and patience and compassion and a lot of self love.
Yeah, a lot of this I see in women that I've worked with in coaching practice and whatnot. There's almost this unquestioned expectation that I'm going to have a very successful career, obviously.
Hmm.
And very few people have ever questioned, do I actually want that? Or am I just doing it because it's what I think I'm supposed to do?
Right.
And the second question from this person was, how do you not get bored?
Hmm. Well, I can't say that I have never felt bored, but I will say that I can more so relate to that word when I was living in a more egoic survival mode of living, which I didn't allow myself to get bored.
Hmm.
I filled my life with a doing energy of getting everything done. Like, you didn't find me relaxing without putting something in my mind. Like, my relaxing probably was only reading a book. And even in that, back then, that was a distraction. I didn't know it, but it was. I didn't really sit still. Once again, that's kind of what was modeled for me. It
Hmm.
was a very responsible energy to life, constantly always doing something. And you know what? In certain aspects of life, like, that can be necessary. But again, as a child, I made my own belief systems about what all those things meant. And so when I started down this path of truly connecting to myself, I had to start stepping away from a lot of things and create some space. And that did come in spending time alone, which, I'll be real, felt uncomfortable at the start because it was so different and it was like confronting because now all of a sudden I was going to have space and time to start to witness myself.
Hmm.
And of course, that's confronting to the ego. So now I thrive in a slower pace of life. I thrive in the way that you've set up our lives to have the slow mornings on the norm, um, to just have space to myself each day. And I thrive in the sunshine. And so a lot of times that's maybe 15 minutes, maybe an hour of just being outside. A lot of times it's my time to close my eyes and just be present with myself. And it's life giving, it's necessary, and it doesn't feel like boredom. And the other thing that, like, having that space and being where I am at today has allowed my true desires of how I get to be creative and how I get to spend my time on what feels good to me. And so I get to use creativity in the kitchen with recipes and making up my own things and baking and doing all of that. I get to use creativity and my own gifts and making scrapbooks and, calendars and stuff for my parents for Christmas. And also, we get to spend a lot of time together. And so I love that. Like, I don't take that for granted. But to me, that just feels so nourishing to my soul. And so I don't, like, in that question, I can sense the where I used to be. I can sense the, like, oh, like, if I give up all these things, that equals I'm going to have nothing to do. And is feminine really just sitting doing nothing? Is that what being means? And a lot of times, I've said this so many times in different regards, that whatever associations and assumptions that we start to make when we're shifting into a different way of living and being, a lot of times we jump to that, like, opposite. So if we were in a very constantly busy, distracted way of being, we kind of jump to the, like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get bored in life, like, I'm gonna have nothing to do, and, like, who am I gonna be? But it's you're gonna find somewhere in the middle, right? And just to summarize this, that slowing down was essential for me to really come into, even start to get to know, back to the first question of, who am I? What do I believe for me? What do I want out of life? Honestly, for the first time in my life, I started to actually ask the bigger questions.
Yeah. And it's not like submission means that you just don't do anything.
Not at
The,
all.
the way, and we know who this person is, and we know, like, the person who's leading her in her particular life is approaches this a lot like I do, which is, I'm not looking to have you just sitting around on the couch bored staring at a wall waiting for me to tell you to do something. I want you to be doing things that fill you with life and with joy and with aliveness and with fun and with pleasure,
Mm-hmm.
and not be doing things that are putting you into obligation, performance, and forcefulness. So it's not about doing nothing. It's just about not doing anything that takes you out of being your authentic self and doing the things that fill you up.
Yeah. And I kind of like this was one of those pendulum swing things for me. It was like I had to break certain patterns and you knew it. And so you took certain things away from me. And so now all of a sudden it was like, I don't have anything to do. Now what? And so it really forced me, not by like force, but I couldn't not come face to face with the little things that were like, well, you should be doing the laundry or you should be doing that, or what about this and what about that? And so that's what I talk about is that's the space I got to have for the first time when I wasn't constantly doing and distracted. And that's what truly has helped me turn into the woman I am today.